What's up, disc golfers? This is Matt Dollar, and I'm here today with the back 10 from round 2 of the Mountain Disc Golf Experience in Asheville, North Carolina from 2019. I'll be leading us off here on hole number 11, 255 feet, slightly turns to the right. I went with a thumber into a tree, not the suggested route. We had Bret Mierzejewski here tossing a nice little Annie move, kind of boosted left on landing. Probably going to give him about a 40-foot putt uphill, maybe obstructed.
Fun hole.
That was Will Taylor, who currently is 2 off the lead, and he is going to go a little early. He'll have to get up and down from about 100 feet there.
That's the way.
Dan Hastings with the sidearm. Starts it on a little bit of hyzer with something kind of understable. Throws a nice shot up there. We'll give him a good chance at the birdie. Dan is currently 2 strokes off the lead. Speaking of the lead, this is Noah Osborne, currently tied for the lead with myself, Matt Dollar. And I'm going with my Electron Soft Envy. Whew. A pretty good bid. Should be an easy par. Wills kicks back to the middle, I guess. He'll just chip up. And looks like Noah will have just a little bit of work to do with the sidearm here. Looks like he's going mid-range. Came out pretty hard. Must be something a little bit stable. That'll give him about 15 feet left. And we're going to go to Bret Mierzejewski putting for the birdie. Bret and Dan are our only chances left for a birdie here. And looks like Bret had a really tough line to work with. So Dan is our last hope. And Dan nails it home for the nice birdie. That'll move him back within 1 stroke of the lead. And Noah needs to make this to stay tied for the lead.
Time to make putt. You got this. Oh, perfect. Needs a little motivation. Needs the motivation.
We move into hole 12. As you can see back there on hole 11's green, we had a really good vibe going with this group. Everybody was really cool and just nothing but good times out there. So Dan will move to within 1 of the lead, and he will throw first here on hole 12, 240 feet. Another super tight hole. He went with the forehand, connects early tree. I'm going tomahawk with a plasma insanity. Comes in a little short. That's really not a shot that's going to get you all the way to the pin on this hole, but it's not going to get you a bogey either. So, playing the odds, trying to give myself a putt. Bret throws a really nice shot up there. Starts it pretty flat, maybe just a little bit of hyzer, and turns it nicely into the gap. Will's going to do the same thing. Got a little collection plate going up there. We're going to have a lot of guys having a long look at birdie, I believe. And here's Noah, who's going to just skip one right up there to the pin. That was a beautiful shot from Noah Osborne. Dan from about 120 feet maybe. Just throws it right up to the pole. No more work left to be done there. Looks like I'll have to make this to stay tied for the lead. Oh, friendly tree. In round one of this tournament, I had a similar look for birdie, went off the cage just like that and rolled even further and did not get up and down. Oh, sit for Will. Oh, it's a popular move on this hillside. You come in, you hit the basket, and you take a little roll. Stetson with the nice birdie there. And I'm able to work the par putt in. Will should be able to do the same before Noah claims the lead outright with this 6-foot birdie putt. Bag on. Perfect drive. Everybody else will tap out. We'll move on to hole number 13. Alright, so we are playing the short tees this round, so I believe 2 of the holes on the front 9, maybe 3 of them actually, or front 10. I was mistaken when I called the distance. So instead of a short tee on this temporary hole, we're playing to a short pin. So this one is 515 feet. It's a distance and elevation change where you can kind of throw anything. Noah goes with a putter here. You can also throw a really overstable mid-range or driver. Man, that disc went so straight. It just started on a little hyzer and just kind of barely popped up to flat, but it never really moved back left. It's going to give him a long putt for the birdie. Dan Hastings continues his sidearm assault on Sandhills. Say that 5 times fast. Looks like I'm going with a Neutron Pyro here. So overstable mid-range. Skips inside the circle for sure. Looking like about 20 feet for the birdie. Not sure if Will went putter or mid here. Looks like a putter in flight. Wow. Almost rings it up for the 1 on film. Just a little bit too high. Oh, I guess Bret actually hit that netting to keep him in bounds, and he throws it in. Bret is a great ultimate player, and he literally just threw it like a little frisbee shot. Excellent birdie for Bret after being saved by the net. Could have been a 4, turns into a beautiful 2. Noah's going to miss just a little bit low and hit the cage there on his birdie putt, so that's going to bring him back into a tie with myself for the lead. Dan Hastings is going to make that putt to... Oh, wait, that wasn't Dan. Here's Dan. Okay, regardless, Double Dan makes the birdie, and he is also tied for the lead. I believe we have a 3-way tie for the lead. Alright, hole 14, the short tee, so it's 312 feet, but man, it is hard to reach. It is very uphill, in a tunnel, with low ceiling that turns left. I mean, almost impossible. I feel like this is a really good par 4. from the 420-foot position because it plays more like 600 feet. You can be safe off the tee and just barely make it in the gap, but it's going to be almost impossible to get up and down from there because of the elevation change and the trees in the fairway. These are good tee shots we're seeing. They're going to give scramble opportunities. Pretty much all tee shots on this hole are going to put you into a scramble opportunity unless you just absolutely mash a driver right in the middle. Looks like I turned my disc over just a little bit too much. I believe that was a fission photon. It kicks back to the left. Actually, I might have been greedy and have thrown a mayhem there, which is less stable but faster. Trying to sneak my way up that hill. It was really hot this day, so sometimes you make dumb decisions when it's hot. Or at least I do. Will's thrown from the bottom of that little ditch, so it makes it a little bit extra elevation. Catches really the last tree between him and the basket. And oh goodness. That was a very, very bummer of a roll there. And looks like Noah's going to go, although Will may still be out, I'm not sure. Oh, sit down, baby. It did sit down, okay. You always get worried after seeing one roll that far. I go sidearm with one of my putters, an Electron Soft Envy. And Will needs to get up and down here for the bogey. Throws a nice shot. If you guys watched the front 10 video, we had that one hole where Bret and Dan both had huge rollaways. And then we watched Will have one here. This is another one of those holes that just really can get funky if you hit any of these trees, and there's plenty of trees to hit. Noah just lays up. He has no feelings about wanting to get a bad rollaway like we saw Will get, or like in the first 10 video. I'll tap out for my 3. Bret makes a nice comebacker after going just a little bit too deep. I thought this was a pretty good hole from the long tee. From the short tee, it's just kind of a tweener. If you don't throw a good drive, then you just suck it up and take a par. Alright, hole 15, we're playing the short tee. This is a devil from the long tee, but the short tee here coming in at 180 feet, it says. It's got a fast green behind it and plenty of trees in between you and the basket. Bret, there's a nice little touch shot. And looks like he lands inside the circle, probably about 20 feet or less. Bret had a really slow start to this round, but he is coming on hot here in the last, I don't know, 8 or 9 holes.
Simmer.
Wow, Dan Hastings gets the best of both worlds right there. He almost aces it. In fact, he was in a dead line to ace it, and goes over the top of the basket and hits a tree. Speaking of tree, it's 180 feet to the basket, but I hit a tree that's probably less than 100 feet from the tee. And Dan will have a putt to take sole possession of first place, I do believe. Will throws a nice little shot there. It's going to finish left, and I believe he'll probably be right around circle's edge. Noah trying to crawl back into the lead there. Throws a great drive that lands short, just short of the pole. But after a little skip and a roll, Unfortunately, he'll be further out than Dan. You know, that's not something you see a lot. In fact, it's been a while since this tournament, so I'm kind of shocked to see myself lay up there, but it is a scary fast green. Will is not intimidated though, and he throws a beautiful putt to grab a great birdie. Bret looked a little less confident there, but he also gets his birdie in the basket. Now we've got Noah, who threw the best shot of the group, but got the worst reaction off the green. That is a tough break. Dan for the solo lead, I believe. He's in there. All right, hole 16, 185 feet, downhill. I believe this is the island hole. Oh, yes. Okay, so you see the little backboard back there. That's out of bounds. The out of bounds is so tight on this one. Wow, stopped it on a dime. That was amazing. Great shot. That was good camera work from Ace Run Productions, showing us what the green actually looks like with the OB line. Because from the tee, it actually looks like the OB line is against the wall. But once you get down there, there's plenty of room for a disc. So the OB rules on this one are if you go out of bounds, you go to a drop zone, which is a long putt, basically. I went with my Electron Soft Envy there. Looks like I went with the one that I putt with, which I generally do not throw the one I'm currently putting with that day. But this is on the angle, the downhill angle of this hole. It's almost like throwing a jump putt, so. So during round one, I believe I went out of bounds long, and then I may have went out of bounds again on my putt here. Oh, sit. Nice putt from Will. That is a great save. Whenever you go out of bounds, I mean, you're going to want to go for a putt from a drop zone that could potentially save a par to erase that mistake that you made. But when you have out of bounds directly behind the basket, less than 15 feet, there's a lot of penalty there if you mess up. So kudos to Will on a great putt. Jam it in there for the bird. We're moving on to one of the crazy hybrid safari type holes. Hole 17, short tee, so 980 feet it says. Teeing from out of bounds. All the little grass patches, or actually pine straw patches maybe, those were all in bounds. Okay, so this goes over to the right side of the football field, which, if you're looking here, the fairway is actually the left side of the football field. But there was nothing specifically stating that over the right side of the field was out of bounds. So Bret is going to be playable from over there. Looks like I went with a Fission Photon and went over the black net that you cannot really see from here too well. You kind of can on the right side there, but Noah's going to play the more standard traditional route here and try to throw it into the fairway on the left side. And that is an excellent shot. That will set him up nicely. The long tee on this hole is very tough. The short tee coming in at 980, I believe all these pros really want to make sure they get a 4 at worst. Dan has mashed one, and it looks like it's flexing out nicely. Doesn't really get a lot of good ground action off of it, but it was a great shot. Alright, Bret is lining up for a lefty Anheuser over the net from the shul. This is amazing, and it lands on a roller angle. Wow, that is, I mean, just the fact that my guy Bret can smash righty and lefty is amazing, but just to pull that out from one of the worst positions we've seen anyone be in during this round on the longest hole we've played, to throw lefty Annie roller over that fence, pretty amazing. That's my favorite shot of the round so far. Speaking of roller, I'm going Plasma Insanity roller here. Start it with a lot of cut. Looking real good. There is a creek just beyond that wood line down there. Looks like I rode the edge of the hill. Oh, I think I ended up right on that gravel road, it looked like. So I might have a long look at the eagle putt. And there's another guy that's going to have a long look at the eagle putt. That's probably just the outside, maybe just on the edge of circle 2. Looks like Bret's done a nice one just a little bit deep. And Will just drops one right at the base. Well played. No fuss, no muss. With the basket being elevated, there's always potential for some craziness, so if you're not getting a birdie, you want to do exactly what those guys did and just lock it right up against the pin. I'm sorry, if you're not getting an eagle. Once again, this is just borderline between par 4 and par 5 for pros. For pros, I would call this one more towards a par 4. But it's a blue level par 5. Give it a decent little bid, but gonna have a little bit more of a comebacker than I want. Alright, here's Bret to try and save the most ridiculous birdie of all time. Dano gets his birdie in there. And Dollar will too. So I believe it's going to be a whole bunch of 4s and Bret with a 5. But to be honest, where Bret threw it, not bad. We still have the entire group sitting within three strokes of the lead. Looks like I have the lead outright by 1 over Dan and Noah. We move on to hole 18, par 3, 277 feet. It is an island hole. We're blocking out the view here. It's like a little sidearm with neutron phase, I believe. So this is a weird little island hole. There's 2 islands, and you can lay up to the first one and then throw over to the second one, or you can just go for it. Maybe there's 3 islands. I can't remember. But basically, everyone just tries to throw and park this island. You know, it's coming down towards the end of the round, so you really want this birdie, especially with everyone being right here close to the lead. So I don't think anyone's going to concede the birdie and just lay up at the first island here. Everyone's willing to risk a penalty for going out of bounds. Dan throws a nice little sidearm there. Just barely stays in. Looks like he went with a putter though, which is kind of crazy. I mean, I guess just distance-wise on the forehand, but probably a zone. That would make sense. So here's Dan putting for birdie after what we've decided is a zone sidearm tee shot. It's just a little high left, and it is not going to accept that putt right now. He'll be settling for par. And looks like dollar in for birdie with the envy. And Bret continues to play stellar golf after that slow start. I believe that takes him up to 14 under. He's 3 back of the lead. Same as Will, who just made that birdie there. And Noah's birdie, I think, puts him in solo second behind me and 1 ahead of Dan. Alright, hole 19, 340 feet from the short tee. It is a 90-degree right turn once you get past the end of this soccer field fence, which has a high net as well. I'm going thumb or roller here with neutron phase, and I gotta say I like it. Man, this hole does not look that hard on camera, but it is hard to park it in real life. You know, in real life, I didn't realize how close my disc got to the pin before it decided to roll out an extra 20 plus feet on that putt. See, this is not a bad tee shot. This is what most tee shots look like on this hole. You get something way over, it disappears turning right around the corner, but you just can't make a disc come backwards right. I mean, you can, but it is just very, very difficult to do. This actually looks like a really good chance if it will hold it, but it looks like it's fading out as well. Oh no. Oh no, he's inside the soccer net, I do believe. What's Bret doing here? I'm thinking lefty backhand? Ah, that's beautiful. Just kind of fell out of the sky and got negative ground action. If he was able to throw that just a little higher, or maybe with something just a little less stable, it might have stood up and moved further right and got some ground action and parked it. He really couldn't have got any less out of how good of a shot he threw. On the opposite end of the spectrum, this is about the worst shot you're going to see on this, but you still have a wide open approach in a field. And this is not a hole that a lot of people are going to birdie, so you're not missing out on much if you just park it up right here like Dan does. If there's one thing we've learned about Dan this round, where he's not having a great round for Dan. I mean, this is a guy who shoots 1,100 rated rounds. So, like, Dan's not having a great round, but every time that he is short and he throws into a tree early off the tee, he puts his next shot right by the pin. No extra cleanup work to be done by Dan, and that really adds up in the long run. Looks like Will's able to take his lie from this side of the soccer net, which makes sense because if you mark it where it's on the ground, you can probably just stand on top of the net. I was afraid he's going to have to climb in there when I saw the tee shot. And once again, the worst drive we saw on the hole is equal to all the rest because it's just a big tweener. Little too sharp of a turn there to be a good golf hole, I believe. And that'll take us to our last hole. Hole 20. Coming up. After Dan makes his putt. Attaboy. Alright, hole number 20. Only 200 feet. You're throwing basically across a field at a little gap in between a fence that has netting. I don't know why I'm going over here. It really doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it's just a dumb move. Probably should have just thrown it up the middle. That is out of bounds in the playground. That's a good shot. That'll give him a putt. Probably just inside the circle from there. Yeah, putter up the middle would have been a good idea for me as well. Beautiful shot from Will. 20-footer, and he's out on the birdie. Nice shot from Bret. He goes really overstable. Plays the skip, gets it all the way through. It's a little bit of a bad roll, but he'll have a good shot at the birdie. Dan hits the left side of the fence. You really want to hit the right side, if anything. That's the drop zone for this hole, apparently. So, I believe I was 11 down coming into this hole, so that's going to drop me back to 10. Still managed double digits under for the round, and I believe actually it'll be a tie for the lead if Noah makes his, I do believe. We'll see. We'll see where we stand. Ace Run has got it counted. I don't have to do the counting. I just do the talking. Noah for birdie, putting with his burst something. Brett Stetson for the birdie. Nice birdie from Brett, and I do believe will have a short birdie putt as well. These two guys trying to get out of here on a birdie. So 2 birdies, 2 pars, and I will take the bogey on our last hole here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stick around for round 3, and especially stick around for the Urban Skins coverage after that. I'm Matt Dollar, and thanks to Ace Run Productions for putting this video together. You guys take care.
It's recording now.
There you go.
That's